Welcome everybody to the DC New 52 review. I want to thank you for tuning into this episode. I am your host, Paulie DC, and let's get into another one of these things. Today will be part 3 in my Wrath of the First Lantern crossover review known as Beginning of the End. The event was worked on by an amazing array of writers and artists, with it all taking place between 2013. For this third edition, I will be covering the number 19 issues from Green Lantern, Green Lantern New Guardians, Red Lanterns, and Green Lantern Corps, wherein the main villain Volthoom, or the First Lantern, is free to continue his universal-wide chaos. For a quick recap, in Part 2, John Stewart and Yida Fatality Sinril became the next victims of Volthoom's mind tinkering. New to the game, GL Simon Baz tried to rescue Hal Jordan from the Dead Zone, where he's been since Green Lantern Annual Number 1 with Thal Sinestro, who wound up taking advantage of that situation, freeing himself. Kyle Rayner's recent Lantern Corps mates, Saint Walker, Carol Ferris, and Larfleeze were also First Lantern targets, but ended up being the first few to show resistance. And finally, Red Lantern Jack Rancor Moore is on Earth being lusted over for his Constructs ability by Corps mate Bleeze, while the Red's leader Atrocitus saw the reality warp of his alternate timelines, causing him to want to bring his existence to its conclusion. Green Lantern number 19 begins in the Dead Zone with the left behind Hal Jordan still there with old deceased Green Lantern friend Tomar Ray, who's been a huge exposition guy over this event. And with the unconscious William Hand, or Blackhand, having recently arrived due to him being the one Sinestro swaps spots with in the Chamber of Shadows, Jordan has the beyond questionable idea of committing suicide in order to take over William's Black Lantern ring, and Tomar thinks this is absolutely idiotic. Yeah, that's kind of Hal's thing. Over to the Chamber of Shadows, Badge and the Templar Guardians, who were all brought into the plot during the rise of the Third Army, are having a standoff with Sinestro because this place is where the Dead Zone switch happened, and he's now got Simon Baz hostage until getting a bit of intel about Volthoom being the first to harness emotional electromagnetic energy before teleporting himself away. Don't ask me how he can do that all of a sudden. Thal heads straight to his home planet of Korugar though, where his presence is immediately made known in lethal manner, as he then finds old law enforcement ally Arsona, who unsurprisingly pulls a gun on him due to the things that happened on this world in Green Lantern Volume 1 involving Sinestro and Jordan. Sinestro is able to explain the dire situation he's in next regarding the First Lantern, and after Arsona agrees to harness Korugar's fighting forces against this new target, the most well-known person from her planet shockingly says thank you. And if you've been reading Green Lantern, you know Thal has an interesting relationship with those two words. The moment is cut short, however, when Volthoom suddenly ambushes the two, immediately priming Sinestro for a twist of reality, and with his past, there is a lot of layers. First up, he's shown as the ultimate ruler of Korugar, rallying his troops for battle with the Q-Wardians. Interesting inclusion, considering in the New 52, the weaponer of Q-Ward created Thal's Yellow Ring, Lantern, and Central Battery. Then we see him saying the Korugarians are getting ready to battle the Anti-Monitor, who is a very serious foe. Like, very serious. He's also in love with Arsona here, as well as his original wife Adin Sewer, the sister to Abin Sewer, but when both ladies are killed, Hal Jordan comes into the vision to stop Sinestro from going insane, yet he's sort of able to next break Volthoom's hold on him before things continue. Only our main antagonist wants a fight to be put up again because the emotional energy is filling his power immensely, and with the threat of destroying this entire world, that has Thal generating enough will to actually damage Volthoom slightly, which forces him to reveal his real nefarious intentions, involving the desire to target the Korugarian people due to them being filled with so many emotions. Sure, he could have done this on a couple other dozen planets in the DC universe, but this one is convenient to the plot, so moving along, the First Lantern has finally gained his true abilities, using them to friggin' obliterate Korugar plus all of its inhabitants from existence, leaving Sinestro behind to watch the cataclysmic explosion. And if you're wondering if that legit happened, it sure as hell did, with us jumping to the dead zone where Hal and Tomar Ray witness violent black lightning welcoming the Korugarians to the afterlife, while Volthoom looks on proudly at his recent work. So this is the final straw for Hal, who takes a header off of a cliff to complete his death, and possible ability to control the Black Lantern ring. Then, to finish, Sinestro is seen floating amongst the rubble of his planet, with one of the last things remaining being his Yellow Lantern. But I thought he destroyed it outright in Green Lantern Annual number 1. Whatever. Green Lantern Corps number 19 opens on it letting it be known that the First Lantern has not only been messing with Guy Gardner and John Stewart, but also almost every other Green Lantern as well, including main ones like Kilowog, Hanu, Isamat Cole, and Arisia. However, all of them, plus Fatality Yira Sinril, start to be encased in green rocks that severs their connection to Volthoom, which seriously pisses him off, and if you're wondering what's happening, it's the extremely late as hell to the party introduction of Living Planet Green Lantern Mogo in this event, now using its immense power to save all of its comrades by bringing them to its core. Now, what I'm wondering is, how does this make any sense? Last time we saw Mogo at the tail end of the Rise of the Third Army event, it was in the unknown sectors, which, side note, I don't even know what that means, because I thought the Guardians of the Universe had mapped out the entire, you guessed it, universe in their billions of years alive. It's even said by Guy in this title's volume 1, there's 7,200 sectors completely covered by the GLs. But anyway, my point is, how did Mogo conveniently end up in perfect location to absorb that many allies from all quarters? I don't know, and I don't care. Volthoom has found his newest victim though, as he plans to attack Mogo, but even bigger ideas come when it's decided to cast an army of Red Rage, Yellow Fear, and Black Death constructs to destroy the Green Lantern members present. Now, we are next treated to one seriously tremendous fight scene. I mean it. 6 pages of terrific artwork capturing all the action that you cannot look away from. We got people falling in lava pits, fist, blade, and gunfights happening from corner to corner, finally climaxing with the Green Lantern Corps and Fatality defeating their enemies. Actually, Mogo reveals this whole scenario was created by it and not Volthoom because everyone present needed some quick conditioning training in order to be prepared for the real battle that's coming. Sorta saw that one coming, since the first Lantern should have went after Mogo when he did John and Yira, because those two were on the sentient planet from the beginning of this crossover. Most importantly, the Green Lanterns accept Mogo's belief that they are the last line of defense against Volthoom, giving a collective chant of their oath quote. Fatality may feel a tad out of place though. Green Lantern New Guardians number 19 starts to intertwine everything directly, with the first scene being the recent annihilation of Kuder that happened in Green Lantern number 19, getting discovered by Star Sapphire Carol Ferris and White Lantern Kyle Rayner. Things then skip back 3 hours, with Star Sapphire finding a rather distraught Kyle in his New York apartment due to what Volthoom did to him. I was definitely surprised to see him so put out, but with help now, he tries to contact teammates Saint Walker, Indigo 1, and Arkilo to no avail. However, his ring for some reason locates Sinestro, so he's the next person of interest. This is what brings us up to current time again, as the duo take in memory visions of the proud Kodugarian people while wondering what the hell went down, and answers may come right away thanks to a crazed Sinestro appearing from the debris shouting about how he lost everything, yet all Carol seems to care about is asking him where Hal is. I know you've been looking for him in 6 or 7 issues straight now, but you are coming off a bit insensitive here, girl. Anyhow, Sinestro stuns her quickly, then lashes out at Kyle, thinking he obtained the White Lantern power by working with Volthoom, saying he too once gained that same life force power, which did happen in the Blackest Night event when he bonded with something called the Life Entity. Carol is ready for round 2, though still trying to fight Thal, who's done with questioning and just tries to take Kyle's ring next, until being halted by GL's Simon Baz and Badge, who intros the latest green ring bearer to Rayner and Carol. Also, Miss Ferris has been clearly drawn with blue eyes in the past, even when in costume, but this edition they are pretty much pink. Yes, I will point these things out anytime I can. Moving on, Simon mentions that he sorta recognizes Carol due to Sinestro using her likeness to distract Hal in the dead zone, also allowing him to admit he failed in rescuing her lover, but Thal is done listening and rushes Kyle again, demanding he prove his White Lantern credibility by restoring Kuder, with Carol frantically asking him to try the same thing with Jordan. Man, he must be exceptional in bed or some shit, because he is not a solid, likable person through and through. Never mind that though, Rayner decides he will give it a shot, hoping he can test his new limits. His best efforts are then showcased, with Kyle actually being able to summon visions of the lost Kuder, but only for a few seconds, because it's unfortunately not enough, as everything vanishes just as fast as it appeared, forcing Thal to take matters into his own hands, quite literally by stealing Rayner's white ring. How could he let that happen so easily? Come on, bro. Star Sapphire quickly saves him though, while Sinestro is deemed unsuitable for the white piece of jewelry, so it all of a sudden jumps over to Simon, officially granting him the power, which he immediately tries to use for a Kuder rebirth, until the ring again hot potatoes back to Kyle, since Mr. Baz too is called unworthy. Sinestro now looks like he's about to blow more than one fuse, garnering a fighting stance from our 4 heroes, only for him to casually say they are all beneath his status before grabbing the Yellow Lantern that he apparently didn't destroy in Green Lantern Annual number 1, just saying. Then he takes off with hardcore revenge on the Mind. Carol is also crying here because her special Violet Lantern Corps love tether isn't there anymore, since Hal is quote-unquote dead. Red Lanterns number 19 picks up where things left off in number 18 with Red Lantern Jack Rancor Moore, who, as the one and only human RL, tried to mask his freaky side in order to try and do the normal life again, aka saving a lady named Kim from a shite relationship, then tried to woo her only to be halted in his tracks by the possibly envious main female Red Lantern named Bleeze, who, after revealing herself to Kim, ruins Jackie Boy's facade, sending the young lady into a running panic. However, when she actually stops to confront him, the deception or his admitted Red Lantern Corps title isn't what breaks the deal. She even calls him hot. Definitely a kink there, but moving on. It's obviously Bleeze that really ends the whole thing. She doesn't think she can compete with a kind of good-looking alien. This then has Rancor giving his female teammate an up-close encounter with the construct she so deeply covets, except any further fighting will have to wait because the Corps-wide message their leader Atrocitus sent out in Red Lanterns number 18 regarding his desire to be taken out by whatever means necessary has now reached these two. If you're wondering why Atrocity doesn't just order the Manhunter robots he's been with since the rise of the Third Army to put him down, they seem totally loyal to the Reds' leader now thanks to him waking them up. Also, I have no answer as to how a non-organic creation can have dreams. Two other main Red Lanterns, Zilius Zox and Scalox, are cut to next, getting the order to kill their boss with differing reactions. Then, a third main character from this series named Ratchet is seen still under the Reds' headquarters planet Ysmalt. That happened in Red Lanterns number 16, and he's now kinda chilling out with the four beings called the Inversions, who we've been seeing incrementally since the end of Volume 2, looking rather antagonistic due to draining the Red Lantern Corps central battery of its power. However, the main one that I'm calling Roxy, you can say her name any way you please, speaks to a second one to get a name in Cull, agreeing to let Ratchet free to fulfill Atrocitus's words of eliminating himself. This message has Bleeze and Rancor putting their issues aside as well, with it being stated by him that this is what was wanted by her because of past attempts to usurp Atrosso. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Oh, and Dexstar the Familiar is spotted in some random part of space debating if he should turn on his master. It's all action next, with Atrocitus waiting for a group of his Corps members to attack him, and with this double-page spread, why elect to draw only 10 or so Reds? Seriously, go big, give us a shot of dozens of them, the creativity could be endless. Anywho, Atrocitus takes on a serious rage-filled assault in the ensuing scene, with Bleeze chomping at the bit to arrive and get fully involved. I'm also going to mention here quick, I was seriously liking the art in this edition that will continue into the next. With the vicious fighting raging on though, Atrocity, I'm not going to say randomly, but with no real catalyst either, suddenly regains his full intellect, revealing Volthoom put him in some sort of trance. But he's free now and starts absorbing the Red Lantern's rageful onslaught, using it as power, while singling out Zilius, who we don't really know much about up to this point. To finish, Atrocitus goes Mike Tyson on Bleeze and Rancor while exclaiming this event has awoken a new version of himself that will no longer ever be blinded by visceral rage, and the first order of business is to travel to the Guardians of the Universe on Oa so they can be dispatched, to which all the Reds join him. Alright. Starting with plot for Red Lanterns, it was literally a full issue of fighting with Atrocity taking on his whole corps, which is obviously appreciated from time to time, but nothing crazy important until they rally together to get ready to fight Volthoom and the Guardians. Then, over in Green Lantern Corps, Mogo's return in the Rise of the Third Army clearly was set up for it being a huge help, bringing on all of its Corps mates together, all topped off with another tremendous fight scene. As for Green Lantern and Green Lantern New Guardians, the entire threat of Korugar's destruction in this event was a top moment. It really advanced Sinestro in terms of his arc, and we got a hint towards Simon Baz's potential when briefly chosen by the White Lantern Ring, except I have zero idea how him and Badge escaped the Dead Zone, which was clearly acting as a prison. Now, getting into the art, I must say these number 18 editions were all about the action sequences. Sinestro battling his different reality demons to all of the main stars in GLNG, the insane interactions on Mogo, and the huge fight involving the Reds. It was captured really well across the 4 titles. Every one of them had high points, multiple noteworthy moments, a vast use of eye-catching colors. One thing I keep wanting and could have gotten here again is a large amount of Red Lantern members to be drawn. Their leader orders all of them to one place, and the most we saw at one time was maybe 9 or 10. Rounding out on dialogue, in Green Lantern Corps, the only one to speak prominently is Mogo, including his fake Volthoom visions, so there's that. And in Red Lanterns, the popular characters like Bleez, Rancor, Scalox, and Zilius were the only ones to have extended words regarding their thoughts on attacking their boss. Not much to go on really. But different story in Green Lantern for starters. The talk in the alternate reality of Thal was another example of making you want to see more of them extendedly. Then the dialogue with him, Carol, Kyle, and Simon were my personal favorite parts of this review. That's gonna wrap up this video, and if you've watched until the end here, I want to personally thank you for that, and to please like, share, and subscribe. Please follow me on all my social media platforms, and to please join me next time for the Wrath of the First Lantern Part 4, the Final Era, and Part 5, Loose Ends.